Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 182. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction hypnotist and #1 best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. And I'm also the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Cassie Parks. Cassie Parks is the fairy godmother for people who struggle to manifest more than parking spaces. Through her Positive Reality podcast, books, and online coaching program, she shakes up your approach to using the law of attraction while making it all feel easy, practical, and of course, fun. Her insights have been featured on Colorado's Best, in the Huffington Post, and on one of the most downloaded episodes of Primal Blueprint. When she's not teaching people how to attract more money, you can find her in the pool, having a dance party with her favorite kiddos, concocting powerful female leads for her novellas, and occasionally sipping on her favorite chocolate cake champagne cocktail. And you can learn more about manifesting what you really want at CassieParks.com. That's CassieParks.com. And so she can also be found on her own podcast, which is called Manifesting Success Stories, a Law of Attraction show. And we will have all of the links to that on our show notes. And today, Cassie is going to be sharing some of her insights on improving your money mindset and how that leads to more success in the shared economy. So welcome to the show, Cassie.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here. I love this topic. It fits so perfectly with our show topic and with our audience and what people are just really coming here to find out more about. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
So let's just talk a little bit about if you could give us a little bit of a background on like how you got started on the path to manifesting and law of attraction.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started, we won't go year by year, but the first time that I manifested money, I was 13. I was in 8th grade, and there was we were doing a fundraiser for choir. And if you sold, like, I think it was 5 things, that first night you got entered, there would be 5 $20 bills that were given away. And so I went home and I sold the things, no problem. And before I went to sleep, I visualized, okay, sitting in my seat, watching the teacher pull out the names and hearing my name called and walking down and getting the $20. And the next day it was the third name called. And so that's the first time that I manifested money, used visualization, all of that. And I would say it took a while to harness that power after that. But that's how I think it is with most people. It's that first time you hear about it, you're like, oh yeah, I can do this. It was so easy. And then in the middle is where we get messed up because we start trying too hard, we start pushing. And so I did that for a long time. I thought I was using the law of attraction to try and build my business. I was not. I know that
now. I'd love to hear more about that. I think that would be really interesting for our audience to understand the difference between when you think you're using law of attraction and when you actually are.
Yeah. We can, if you want to go into that now, we can, or we want to wait. I'm fine with whatever.
Well, I love that topic. So let's make that part of what I want to dive into.
Awesome.
I want to just, I love that you said though that, you realized that, it's not really that hard, but it's the beginning and the end, but it's all the stuff in between that we do. And kind of like, it's the mental stuff, right? That gets in the way. And, I have found personally that it's like the more pressure you put on yourself to manifest something, the harder it is. The more significance you put on something, the harder it is. I find that you can manifest even big things, but with like being a little bit more subtle about it. I don't know. I mean,
Mhm.
does that tell, I mean, tell me if that resonates with you at all.
Absolutely. So I think, the biggest difference, we can come back to this later, but between when I was utilizing the law of attraction, I realized I wasn't, I was really pushing every single thing. I wasn't having a lot of fun. I was just like, oh my gosh, I got to get my business. And so while I might have had a vision, or I might have, been using some law of attraction techniques, I was pushing. And it was super simple when I let go and I manifested my financial freedom and the ability to leave my job. Like, it just happened. And it really happened very quickly, probably because I'd surrendered to, oh, this will take a while.
Mhm.
And, technically it was about 6 months. It that I always say technically, because I could have left my job, I could have lived, I could have paid my expenses, but it wasn't the life I wanted. So I stayed longer to create more. But that was a choice. But that moment of, oh, now you're free. Now it's always a choice to go to work.
Yes.
That really even opens up more space. And so, yeah, definitely once I relaxed and it was put less pressure on myself, it was a lot easier.
And I mean, I love hearing that it only to me, I think that's an amazing accomplishment that it only took 6 months for you to be able to leave your job and create a life of total freedom. I think a lot of people, well, because maybe they're not using the law of attraction. So a lot of people have a stumbling block, they're trying. They just have this side hustle forever. And they never actually get to the point where they can quit their job. They just kind of leave it as a side hustle. And I know it just in our industry, there's so many people in my industry as hypnotists that they don't work as a full-time hypnotherapist. It's not a
Mhm.
reality for them to ever work as a full-time hypnotherapist. They have to have a day job. So what would you say to those people out there who, like they have it in the back of their mind that they
Mhm.
love to be able to break free? How would you suggest they can do what you did and use law of attraction as a way to really move into their passion and be able to do this as a full-time profession? I know I did that
Mhm.
22 years ago. But how would you recommend somebody do that?
Yeah, I love this question. First and foremost, because I was that person, right? For 8 years, I was the person who was trying to do it. And then and I wasn't using the law of attraction, right? And then I became the person who did it. And so I know both sides of that. I know what that's like. Um, for me, if I can put it down to three key differences, is I asked what I really wanted. So for me, the mistake I was making was pushing my business as the how. I
Mhm.
was trying to create a coaching business as the how to make enough money to get out of my job.
Mhm.
And there was a moment I'm like, what do you really want? And I had wanted since I was 19, and I learned what this term financial freedom was, like having enough passive income to not have to go to work. I'm like, that's what I want. Like, it's a bonus. Coaching is a bonus. Coaching will be a bonus. But what do I really want? So, really, really getting clear on that, because I think so many times people are howing, and I was doing it, howing. And so they're pushing. I call it howing. They're
I like that.
howing
I
away
like that
there.
term, howing.
They're howing that way instead of stepping back. What do I really want? And how do I step into that? And once I got clear on that, and I just stepped back and I let myself be led by inspiration instead of going after it, right? Pushing, going after it, doing all those things. It was pretty quick. And in the middle, making my life more fun, because I'd been pushing for so long. I had a job that was more than 40 hours a week. And every second I would push, I was trying to build my business. In the middle of that, I also was caring for a sick, my great aunt. And that really, and so I just needed to let go and have more fun and be clear about what I wanted and start stepping into that instead of trying to push it all into existence.
I love it. So stop pushing, stop putting so much pressure on yourself, and stop trying to figure out the how, because that's not our job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's interesting because even after you become a successful entrepreneur and you work for yourself, you still, there's still things, you're going to want to manifest within that situation. Like I found myself in this last week, I'll admit, I've been finding myself in the situation where I've been trying to create this situation, like with, I want to I want to do YouTube videos every day. Like that's just like how I'm visualizing my life. But then I got some advice from a colleague of mine that I needed to really step up my game as far as my camera, my microphone, and the software is using to record it. So I was really kind of stressing with all of that because nothing was working the way that it's supposed to work, and the camera won't turn on the right way. I can't get this piece of software to work, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like for hours, stressing about this. And so I kind of caught myself, and I realized, it's the same thing. It's really the same thing with anything that you're wanting to manifest. And it's like, why am I doing this? And I just kind of realized, well, I'm doing it because I want to inspire people, but I'm not going to inspire anybody if I don't feel inspired.
Right.
And this is not inspiring. So you know what? It's not like, this is not urgent. This is not like the end of the world if I don't get this all figured out today. And so I just made a new rule for myself that if it's not fun, like I love to figure things out. Like I'm not going to take that away from myself. I love to figure things out. But when it gets to the point where it's not fun, that's when I stop. And that's when I decide it's either just going to go on hold. My subconscious mind will figure it out. That's what its job, that's what its job is. And maybe I'll find somebody else that'll help me out along the way, but I'm just going to take a break and manifest and turn it over and manifest it. So anyway, that's just what came up for me when you mentioned that.
Yeah, I love that. And I would say I coach on that almost daily. Like I just got off a call right before this, and there was so much about that. And what does it actually look like to let that go? Right. But I've been told all these things, so learning to filter that through what you want and what feels good is really important when you're using the law of attraction. Because I think one of the things people think, or I've, coached on this mistake this week, it's like, oh, I got this great advice from someone. And they take that to mean, oh, I should follow that because I'm manifesting. Like that must mean I have to follow that.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. Not every single detail is a sign.
Right. Yeah.
So let's dive into manifesting money, because I know that that's what kind of where you specialize. And that's where a lot of my listeners, that's where their focus is on. And so why would you say that manifesting money is one of the best ways to learn how to leverage the law of attraction?
Because we interact with money so often. So even if whether you're spending it or not spending it, you're often thinking about it. Oh, am I going to stop on the way and get coffee and have this conversation? Oh, should I spend that $5? Should I not? Should I do this? Where, if I'm going to go on vacation next year, like where am I going to go and how much is that going to be? If I want to leave my job, I have to think about how, what are my monthly expenses and things like that. And so it gives us this opportunity to be in constant contact with the thing that we're manifesting, which for me is a really great way for people to learn and to be like, have a lot of opportunities on a daily basis to choose their thoughts, choose what they're putting their energy towards, to change their story and really and then also to calculate what they're manifesting. I like it because it has a number, so we can score it, and so we keep score. When I do, we track like how much did you cross the $10,000 mark, the 20,000, the 100, the million, because that helps our brain as well, keeping that score. Like, oh, this is working. This is working. Here's another dollar. Here's another $100. Here's $1,000. And so that's really why I love using it. The score piece and the fact that we interact with it so often, it gives us that opportunity to practice more than a lot of other things I've found.
You're so right. And I like the term score. And it gives you a way to just quantify it. I mean,
Mhm.
there's quantifiable, measurable proof that you did something and you got the result that you were looking for. Whereas, with some of the other things that people are wanting to manifest, it's a little harder to quantify. It
Mhm.
can be, when people want to manifest a certain feeling, or they want to manifest, just things that are a little bit more, touchy feely.
Yeah.
The money, and so how would you say, okay, so you've done something really interesting. You rented out your pool
Yeah.
on a platform. I guess it's called Swimply.
Mhm.
And this is like the Air B&B for pools. I've never heard of this before. So
I had
do
never heard of it
tell.
until like 4 months either.
So
Yeah.
you rent out, so what do you have, like perfect strangers come and
Yeah.
hang out in your backyard and
Yeah.
okay.
We have a bathroom that we on inspiration we wanted it for the pool last year, right before the pool season, so that there's a bathroom that you don't have to go through the house. It's awesome. And so we heard about this and we're like, let's see what it's like. It's amazing for us. Like it feels good to us. Like people come in, like the pool gets to be used because I use the pool a lot and that's
Yeah.
no more than on average 2 hours a day. Like
Mhm.
I love it, but I don't have a waterproof laptop yet. Like I can't actually like work and record podcasts and, coach in the pool yet. I'm sure that's coming someday, but I wanted the pool to be used. And then my sister sent this article and I'm like, I wonder what this is be like. And so, yeah, people reserve, an hour or 2 hours. They come in the side gate, they have the bathroom, they clean up when they leave, all the pool toys. And then either someone else comes or we go out and use the pool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we had just moved in, it'll be a year that we closed on our house on September 16th. And this house actually came with no pool. It's the perfect house for us minus the
Mhm.
pool. So we are in the process of manifesting with newfound money a pool.
I love that.
Yes. I mean, like not just a pool. I mean, like the fire pit, the waterfall, the
Awesome.
jacuzzi, like, all of the landscaping. I mean, like it's just a backyard oasis. And
Yes.
so what tips would you offer for us? If I
Yeah.
wasn't already a manifesting genius and having my own ideas, but
Yeah.
like as if I'm just starting off in this process of manifesting, how would you direct us to manifest such an elaborate backyard? Like we already manifested, I think the hardest part was
Yeah.
the house,
Mhm.
but now we're ready for, we're now ready to get the backyard spruced up.
Yeah, I love that. I would start with asking for every single thing you want, right? And it's funny you said that, like, you described it. I saw this amazing pool in California the other day, and it was kind of what you're describing, right? And I would like describe it all out, like everything you'd ever want. Because I think the place where people mess up sometimes, they don't ask for everything, they don't go big enough. And so it's already out of alignment. Like if you don't ask for what you really want, you're already not aligned with it, even before you do any of the work, right? So write that out. And then I'd put a number to it. I'd go research it. I'd act as if I had the money and I'd call the pool guy and say, this is the plan. What is it? So that you know, right? Because sometimes and so often with people, they think, oh, like that's going to be $200,000 and it's 100,000.
Mhm.
Right. And so they're already messing themselves up by thinking it's too hard. And as soon as you get that concrete number, no matter what that is, your brain starts to go to work on that. You
Yes.
start creating that path. But when it's unknown, like, oh, we want this amazing space, but we have no idea if it's going to be 50,000 or 150,000, there's nothing to latch onto. There's nothing to start being created. So I'd go big and then I just get the number and let that be the number, right? Because I think then and the next thing is the thing not to do is to not go try to figure out how to do it. Is just to be like, okay, this is what's coming. This is what we're creating. We know what it looks like. Awesome. And then see where inspiration leads.
I love it. Yeah. Don't tell the universe where it has to come from. And I make the mistake personally because I want success in particular areas of my business.
Mhm.
So I will say it has to come from there. But why? Like
Right.
why why do I need to be attached to that? I mean, money's money and the pool is the pool and whatever it costs is what it costs. And so you got to just be honest and get in alignment with yourself.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's such a great tip. And just to validate how that's working. I mean, number of years ago, it's almost a decade now. I wanted to manifest the car that I have right now. And I had an idea every time I would plug in the numbers, into cars.com. I was always looking for that car, but I limited how much it should cost.
Mm.
And this whole time, I was not finding the car. And this whole time I was limiting myself by like just a couple $1,000s. And one day I just said, what if, like, let me just put in all the parameters and just see, what I come up with. Well, the exact car plus more shows up and it's only a couple thousand more, which I ended up negotiating off. So I ended up getting exactly what I wanted and more by just being open to seeing what does it cost
Mhm.
instead
Oh,
of deciding that this was, I mean, a couple $1,000s over a 5-year payment plan is nothing,
right.
especially when you have good negotiating skills.
Yeah, I love that story because people do that all the time. They put that and they think they're manifesting. They're like, oh, and I don't think you did this. I think it's just the process, but they'll say, oh, I want to get it for X amount. And so I'm
Mhm.
only going to put that in, right? Instead of opening up and like, oh, it could shift and change. I could ask for lower. So that's such a good example because people do that all the time and they how it like, oh, I have to get it for this price or I have to do this or
Yeah.
so
And
I
it was the
love that.
same thing when we manifested this house. So we were put in a position last year. We were not ready to buy the house. And I
Mhm.
had in my mind, all I wanted was I want to manifest $1 million house. I want to manifest $1 million house. I want to manifest $1 million house. And I'd been thinking that for years. And, there's a certain number of bedrooms and bathrooms and square foot that kind of comes with that. Well, I mean, like, is it really that important for me to actually spend $1 million on a house? Or do I want the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and square foot that I wanted? And so we were put in a position last year where we were getting kicked out of our rental, and we had to put the pedal to the metal and decide, like, we're just going to go ahead and go for it. And guess what? I'm in the house that I thought should have cost $1 million. With all the number of bedrooms plus more and bathrooms and square footage so it's interesting because we play around with these numbers and we think that things should cost this much, but it's not even really that. It's about what that what is the experience that you want?
Absolutely. I'd work with that on my clients a lot. When we start with 10,000, it's okay. If someone hands you $10,000 cash tomorrow, what are you going to invest it in? Because I use the word invest versus spend, but what are you going to use it for? And so many times the thing comes and it bypasses the money.
Mhm.
Right? It might be like, oh, this great new patio set. And someone's like, oh, someone just gifted me, like they barely used it and it's brand new. It's exactly what I wanted. I didn't pay anything for it, but I got exactly what I wanted because they were clear about that.
It's so true. It is so true. I love this conversation. So, tell me about one of your favorite manifestation stories.
Oh, so there's obviously manifesting my financial freedom. A little bit about that. I was to follow the whole story. I had been inspired, like I said, I'd kind of put things down. I was now waiting on inspiration, and I was inspired to look up something on a condo. And I looked it up. I went to see it, but it had got an offer when I was seeing it, so that didn't work. But it really started turning. I'm like, huh. Can make this much money off of it a month. And I think it was $300 or $400. I'm like, okay. And I could get it today if it hadn't already got an offer. So I just had that idea, knowing like, okay, this is possible. And so it was a few months later, and a place came up that I did get. And the the other realtor hadn't brought the key to closing. So I had to go with my realtor and get it out of the lockbox. So we're standing there, a couple comes out, and we start talking to them, and they had just looked at a 2-bedroom in the same building. And I had bought a studio to rent out. And so we're talking to them, and running into them and having that key there was so important, because they're like, oh yeah, 2-bedroom. And I was like, I wonder what the 2-bedroom costs, because I hadn't even looked that up. And so when I looked that up, I'm like, oh, here's what I want to create now. I want to create a 1-bedroom that pays the 2-bedroom mortgage. And so I went to work and just feeling that out and looking for it. And through inspiration, my sister and I started talking one day, and she was looking for a place. She wanted a yard. And so, she's looking, I'm looking, we're both looking in Denver. And one day I just said, hey, there's a lot of places in Denver that are bigger. They used to be mansions or bigger houses that have been broken up into condos. Do you want to see what we could get if we pooled our money, if we could both be happy? And she was like, okay. And so we ended up getting a house where she had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath on the bottom with the yard. I had a 2-bedroom condo upstairs, completely separate entrance, my own, everything my own. And I got the carriage house. The way we worked it out, I had the 1-bedroom carriage house in the back that paid the entire mortgage.
Oh
my
my
house.
goodness. I love it.
Yeah.
That is great. That is great. That's a fun manifesting story.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about stepping into your future self to create more lasting change, and how that's better than just trying to fix yourself.
Yeah. So I've really been big. I think that one of the mistakes people make in manifesting is they think they have to fix all these things to get these other things, to get what they want. Like, oh, if I want to be in a relationship, I have to fix this. If I want more money, I have to fix my debt, versus stepping into the person who has more money. And so when it comes to working with my clients, we lay the base with money. So learning and getting that trust muscle going, confidence, like we said, keeping the score, seeing that it's working. And then we open up to the next level, because what I've also found with people is that, when we ask for one thing at a time, that works in the beginning, but it has a point where it stops working. And for me, I believe that's because we have to be able to step into that person. And so I believe in what I've proven or seen in my work is that when we start stepping into our future self who has everything, so we're not trying to manifest the car one year and the house the next, and maybe our business or in a relationship. When we step into life where we have the relationship, the car, the business, and the house, and we're living that life, and you can step into that person, you can manifest a lot faster, because it's an entire way of being, which is really strong for attraction, versus just one thing at a time. And it keeps us from that place of, oh, I have to fix this. If I want this, I have to fix this. No, this person has already done that. So just start behaving like them, bypass, if they don't do that, or if they don't, I'm trying to think of an example, they don't talk bad about themselves, then you just stop that and you step into this person who talks great about themselves and who has what you want and is living the life that you want.
That makes so much sense. So I love thinking about, like manifesting and being in that future self.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, just being that person. I, one of my mentors is Tony Robbins. And so sometimes throughout the day, I'll catch myself, maybe like I was, talking about earlier, getting caught up in the weeds on these little micro tasks that and I think to myself, would Tony Robbins be working on this?
I love it.
Would he be trying to create a new banner, or, would he try to create a social media post? No, probably not, and so but I think starting off and visualizing also, yourself in that future scene, in that future moment, with the house, with the car, with the kids, with the dog, with the being on stage in front of 10,000 people, and having that whole package of who you are in the future and bringing that into the present. I love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there a special technique that you use? Like, do you have somebody, do they have them visual, close their eyes, do any meditation, or like, how do you get them to access that future self?
Yeah. So we do it, we spend 3 days getting all the, what I would call the data of your future self, seeing them, being them, because our brain starts to change in 3 days. So if we can
Mhm.
really step into that place for 3 days, we get a good start in becoming that person. And then from there, we do some different things that open up space. I have different assignments, which now they pick intuitively. Sometimes it's a future self budget, because that gives us a lot of information about, okay, how are you living this life? Right. And sometimes it's just like this would be awesome if it happened list. So we start with those, and then we move into scripting, which is, saying out loud or writing down the future as if it's already happened. And I have a formula that I created for that. So we spend about 6 hours scripting 3 different days to really get like the details. So not just, okay, I'm on stage, but what did it feel like this morning when I got up and I knew I was going to get on stage? Who was I
Mm.
then? Who was I when I'm, talking to people getting ready? Like who am I in that moment? Who am I when I can hear a crowd out there before I'm there? And what do I do after, right? To really surround that whole moment of what we want in our beingness. And then we do some future self interviews, and we write a future self story. So we have this amazing base of who they are. And then there's assignments that continue scripting, continue like, the questions of like, does she do this? Does she think this? And stepping in and then continue coaching. So
That is beautiful. And I love when you said, what does it feel like to hear the crowd out there? I mean, that did something to me. When you said that, I could literally just feel my whole body tingling, and hearing them, Victoria, Victoria,
yes.
out there. you know
Mhm.
so yeah, I like all those little nuances, those little things, the little details of what that's like. And so very, very cool. Can you explain a little bit about your phrase, the story you tell today is the life you live tomorrow?
Absolutely. So, um, we're constantly creating. And I think sometimes as manifestors, we think we're creating so far out, or we're creating that thing. And so people will go and they'll do a visualization, or they'll say an affirmation, or create their vision board. But we're creating in every single moment. And literally, the story that we tell right now is what gets created tomorrow. So if I'm telling I'm living an amazing abundant life, and not just in an affirmation sense, but I'm telling that story by highlighting what's amazing, by talking about the money that's coming in, by talking about my amazing pool and spending time in my pool, right? Living that story, telling that story versus, oh, life is okay. This went wrong. This went wrong. This went wrong. We're literally creating tomorrow, and we get a choice. Do I want more of what I want? Or do I want more of what I don't want? And we get to choose to talk about that and frame all of our stories in that. And so that's a lot of the work that I do, is catching stories, with clients. They'll start and go, oh, blah, blah. And I'm like, nope, don't even. Like, if that's not what you want more of, don't tell me the rest of that. Let's stick with this. What do you want? And let's embellish and grow that story versus talking about what might not be working. Let's put the focus on what you want more of tomorrow.
I can totally relate. Don't you feel sometimes like the word police? I mean, it's like, no,
Yes.
don't. like, all right, what did you just say there? All right, got to turn that around. And yeah, it's like, and so I fully embrace that. And I think that's amazing work that you're doing with your clients to help them to reverse that thinking, to like, turn it around, because you're right. It is all about whatever you're saying right now is creating your tomorrow. And so you do a very interesting thing with your clients that is so different from anything I've ever heard with coaches, especially this day and age. And that is that you let people pay you after they've manifested. So tell me about that.
Absolutely. So way back after I quit my job, I created this course. And, as I was creating it, it was about attracting money. And I said to myself, how much is the investment for this? What do people pay? And what came to me was, let them pay a percentage, let them pay based on their success. And so that's how I started the course. And it's gone through different iterations where it was paid, it was part of different, and it's really back to, that's how people get started, because then there's no barrier. I'm dealing with money. And so very often the thing that either makes people invest right away or not invest right away is part of their money story. It's part of what's getting in their way. So I let people join the program. Once you get past the pre-work, you even get coaching, and you just pay 10% of what you manifest. Whether that's, you manifest $100 or $1 million, you pay 10% while you're in that part of the program.
That is amazing. Wow. I mean, that's very courageous. And also, it really holds people to their integrity, and that, it's an amazing honor system. Do you give people, I had heard this story the other day, and what you're talking about kind of reminds me a little bit of the story that I had heard, where the guy said, he wanted to do some work for him, and he said, well, I could do it for free, but then the way that I would take a percentage of everything you earn. And the guy said, no, I don't want to give you a percentage, because you're probably going to do really good job for me. And and he said, well, that's why you pay the amount now. So do you offer an alternative pricing for that, where somebody could just pay you because they already know that it's going to work, and they don't want to give up 10% of their earnings for the rest of their life?
Yes, absolutely. And it is only while you're in Manifest 10K, like, you don't know me forever. But yeah, because I love being able to offer that. And I can also see how, if I was the client, I would rather pay up front. Like, if I trusted the system there, or I guess there's moments in my life where I would have wanted to pay 10%. And
Yeah.
there's moments where I've been like, I know this is going to work. I can pay this. And so at any time, so people can pay $1,000 up front. That's going to go up for working with me. I'm actually training other coaches right now, because people really love to do this pay after you manifest.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can pay 1,000 in the future to work with my coaches with me right now, and then a little bit more to work with me. And they can make that choice at any time, right? If you start, I've had people start and 5 days in, they're like, I can do this. I don't know what my thing was or why I didn't. But yeah, so they pay whatever, if they've manifested $50 to that point, they pay $5 and then they pay the 1,000. And so at any point, anyone can um, invest like that, because once you do have the trust, I think it opens your manifesting up wider to be able to pay and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm paying for this. I know I'm going to manifest more than 10,000. So now I'm not obligated to pay 10%.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair. So tell us a little bit about this Manifest 10K. What is the program about? What can somebody expect when they choose to sign up for your Manifest 10K program?
Absolutely. So it starts with the pre work, which is all about telling that story and really highlighting the stories that you're telling and priming you to be ready to manifest $10,000. And then we go through, and the intention is to manifest 10,000. That's a very intentional number, because it's usually big enough that people can't how it. And it's not so big that it's overloading and your brain can't even imagine, what that looks like. And it's daily assignments. So on average, it's about 20 minutes a day that you invest. You log in, you do your assignment, and you are conscious the rest of the day. But I am really big on, you can do this in 20 minutes a day.
Mhm.
You don't have to have a 20-hour long manifesting list in order to get what you want.
Yeah.
So it's 20 minutes a day. And then there's opportunities to jump on 4 calls a week and get coaching if you get stuck or you're not sure how to do this, or you do an assignment and I'm like, yeah, you didn't nail it. Like, let's get on and go through it point by point and see where you're missing or where you're bringing your past self into this, or what you think manifesting should look like. And let's do it from the clean slate and what you need going forward.
Oh, that's amazing. And so they get daily tasks that they do that they can
Mhm.
complete in 20 minutes and up to 4 calls in a week.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And like, for how long do they take part in this program? And how long what does it take somebody going through your program typically to manifest 10K?
That's a great question. So to go through the program takes anywhere from, I think you could do it in 4 months, but what I have
Mhm.
found is that a lot of times people get in a place and they're still doing the work, they're still coming to calls, but they go a little bit slower in the assignments because they're growing into them and
Mhm.
really, taking it to heart. So I have people that it takes a year,
Mhm.
and they manifested over $150,000 in that time. And 10,000, I would say on average is probably 6 months if I had to
Mhm.
say on average, but I would say almost anyone who shows up to do the work manifests well over $10,000.
Right. But it's a
Yeah.
new 10K, like, that is not, and this is in addition to whatever stream of income they're used to having coming in.
Yes, it's all new money. Sometimes it's people who have businesses and all of a sudden 5 clients come out. They normally have 5 clients a month and now they have 10. Or sometimes, money comes in so many different fun ways. We just had someone win 17,000 kind of randomly putting something in at the casino, and she won $17,000. It comes through, ideas and inspiration, like, oh, I wonder if I did this differently, and it saves you $4,000. So just all kinds of ways that it manifests. But yeah, it's over and above what's already in your life, what you know is coming.
That is amazing. I love the idea of this program, and I mean, it's just a win-win-win all the way around, because you're giving people the opportunity to take these daily actions to learn about themselves, to grow themselves, and I would imagine that, the sky is the limit here. Once you get a grasp on what it's like to manifest 10K, then you're going to be able to say, okay, let's do this for 20, 50, 100, a million. The sky is the limit. And if they, and so they invest 1,000 and they get back 10,000 and all the personal growth that they achieve to grow themselves into an amazing manifesting person. So it's a great idea. And they don't have to take the risk of investing that if they, if they don't have it right away.
Hmm. Yeah, thank
That's
you.
great. That's great. Well, it's easy enough to go find out about that at manifest10k.com. That's manifest the number 10 with the letter K after that, manifest10k.com. And I highly, highly recommend that you go check that out. Have we left any important details out of today's interview? What else would we like to cover?
Oh man, I think we have covered most of it. I just always like to remind people like you get to live the story that you tell. And so choose the best story. Choose the one that you really want and start telling that story and start living into it and look for the evidence that it's happening because you have the power to create it, start creating it today. You don't have to wait, you don't have to get a certain affirmation or this or that. Like you can just choose like this is who I want to be and I'm going to start living into that right now.
That is so true. And it's beautiful. And we do have the choice. It's our life. We get to choose to make it whatever we want it to be. And we are writing that story every single day of our lives by the thoughts we think, the words that we say, the images that we're holding of our future self.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Power of Your Mind podcast. And I'm highly recommending that you go take a look. Jump on over to manifest10k.com and take a look and join this amazing program so you can learn how to manifest more money in your life. Again, thank you so much for listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast. Thank you for being on the show, Cassie. It's been a privilege getting to know you and learning about your process and how you help people to manifest more money in their life. And thank you so much.
Thank you.